thinking about this, and I used to talk about this stuff like before you even followed me, like 2 years ago. You know how when you are on Instagram and you could go back in your archive and it also shows you
Oh
like
yeah,
what you did on this day
yeah.
last year or whatever it is. And I have videos from like years ago of me still doing this.
This is your opportunity to rant again. This is a platform for Ari to do a ranting.
Well, first, I want to just ask you, like, what is, I guess, one of your pet peeves in a relationship? And what is something like, I guess, like, what is your love language? Like, what do you love when someone does in a relationship?
That's a good question. I don't think about it anymore like that.
I know because you like have been taken, right?
Yeah, for like
For
what
so
have I done?
long.
12 years.
Yeah.
So out of the whole, so you don't think you're kind of just going for it, but it's good though. And that's what this is quite nice to do with you. Is to reflect on these things that sometimes you take for granted in a relationship, or
Yeah.
you know you don't think about anymore. And it's good for that realization to come back and for you to process that. Oh, actually, this is what I like, and this is what I guess it's. I like the whole thing. I like to do for people. I
Hmm.
like I like to I like to take care of people,
Hmm.
and then to take care of me. And in that regard, let me be a bit more specific, because when you talk about love language, that's not specific enough.
Right.
So the intimacy, the cuddling, I like to receive that, and I like to give it. But I'm very loving though, because that comes from my mom. I will say that my mom's
Hmm.
she was very loving, and lots of cuddles and hugs all the time, and kisses, and so I'm like that. I'm very loving. I got a big heart. I got a very big heart. So I like that side of to give, and to show my love, but also to receive the same. And it's the intimacy. I'm a lot around just spending time together and watching a romantic film and chilling out together, holidays together. So I like that, and I'm old school. I'm an old school guy. I'm a '77 boy, so um, it's about the old school, the romance, and the candlelit dinners, and you know uh, prosecco. Or I'm not much of a drinker, but if I do Aperol spritz or something, um, I like to take care of people. So I'd like to cook and make a nice meal, and or go to a nice restaurant and
Hmm.
just reflect on stuff. But I guess that's around my love language, is that it's more giving and intimacy. Yeah.
Okay.
What about
And
you?
how about wait,
Oh,
how
no, no,
about a
no.
pet
Go on.
peeve?
Pet peeves. What's one of my things that annoy me? I think the biggest thing is when women try and pull you up and stuff. Yeah, I mean, without being like, every woman's like that. Women I've dated and women I've been with. Yeah, so let me narrow that down before I get a bit of backlash from either my sisters or something. When my older sisters see this, or my niece or something, or my three nieces see something like this, they won't have it. The women I've dated, more specifically to me, yeah, is trying to pull you up on stuff, and then you pull them up and they don't like it, because you know they like to say, oh, you didn't do it that time. Then I'm like, well, what about the time you didn't do this? So they only see one thing, so they only
Mm.
see one side. And when I was growing up, I made it clear the older I got was to see both sides to an argument or someone's
Hmm.
point of view. So
Hmm.
if someone's picking at something and trying to moan about something, I then make it clear. Goes, look, I could be going on about the same thing, but it just doesn't bother me as much. And that seems to
Mm.
annoy women when I dig them out
Hmm.
as well. Because it's like,
Hmm.
no, I just want to moan about this, kind of lead me to my moaning. But when you challenge that, they don't like it.
Right.
It's like, can I just have that? I just want to moan about something you do. Can I just have that and be left alone to having that argument? And it's like, no, actually not, because you're not going to be left alone, because that's just nonsense. If you're moaning
Right.
about this, but yet you're doing the same, so it's only a problem because you find it a problem.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's little silly things like that. I think that's silly. And the moaning about nothing. So what I see it as nothing, and it means a lot to them. So that's when I kind of do the compromise and say, well, it annoys you, doesn't really mean much.
Hmm.
You know, don't cry over spilt milk type thing of like all the problems in the world, and you're moaning that a door wasn't closed properly,
Oh, yeah,
or a light wasn't taken off
totally.
when it should have been taken off.
Yeah.
You know, and then I just think there's so many bigger things to worry about. You know, why make relationships harder than they need to be? Let's focus on the real important stuff, and let's spend time together and enjoy that and embrace that, instead of picking up on these little things that are so unimportant to the grand scheme of things. And that's how my
Hmm.
mind works, and it irritates women. My wife that I'm with, women I've dated, it irritates the hell out of them, because that's my outlook on life. Because we're moaning about such little details. Yeah, why not focus on the positive details, the things that I do that are, I think, are quite loving and supportive, and you know, always to support the person I'm with, friends, you know, whatever it is. Let's focus on those details. Let's look at positives instead of something you don't like, because what you don't like most of the time is so unimportant on the grand scheme of things. You know, we're just
Hmm.
making our lives harder and more miserable because we're just looking at these little details in our lives that are just unimportant for me. And that's where I get the odd, you know, that's the conflict for me, being a typical guy in some regards, and
Right.
you know, a woman being a typical woman in some regards, because it's the smaller things, but then focus on the positive smaller things, not the negatives. Sorry, that was my little rant.
No, I like that. Um, so my mom, back to what you were saying earlier, my mom is not super loving. So I don't have that. Like, I don't like to be touched that much, like
Wow.
cuddled. Like, that is not something. And I've always thought about that because I thought, like, when I have kids, if or when that time comes, I think I am going to be more loving, even though that's not something that I'm really like. But a lot of people have told me I'm very cold, which I know that I am. And to an extent, I like it because it's great in my business and, in my career aspect. I have very thick skin. Um, but of course, in a relationship, it's like, whoa, like I haven't met, like, there aren't too many females that have my same attitude. So, yeah, that is definitely different for me. So, it's more for me, like, my love language is gifts. I love giving gifts and I love getting gifts and acts of service. So, like, if I work so long and most of the times I'm a big cooker. So like breakfast, lunch, and dinner is done, but the 1 or 2 times a week that I'm working until like 8 or 9 o'clock,
Mm.
like I love when someone thinks, okay, I'm not gonna wait for her to get home to order. I'm just gonna order something that she likes and let's call it a day. Like that might seem so simple, but so many guys don't think that way. So they'll be like, okay, like whenever she gets home, I'm gonna ask her what she wants, and then we're gonna order dinner. And by then it's 11 o'clock. It's like you wasted so much time. So that is very big for me. And I dated someone always like it didn't matter what it was. Like, I take care of my grandparents.
Mm.
They're elderly, they're sick. I go to the store for them all the time. And there were some times where I would have to, I would be short on time and I would have to go a few different places. And he would be like, let's divide and conquer. I'll go here for your grandparents, you go here, and we'll meet up when we're done. And I'm like, that is the kindest thing, you know? So that was really, really big for me. Um, pet peeves definitely would be, which I talk about all the time, like privacy and respect, I feel like
Mm,
go hand in hand. And I hate, there have been so many times where I don't even like somebody, and I don't know this because I don't hide anything, like anything. So it's very weird for me if somebody's like, oh yeah, I saw a text message in your phone from last week because I looked over your shoulder and I saw it and it didn't sit well with me. And I'm like, well, now we're a week later. And why the hell were you looking over my shoulder? Like, I don't look over your shoulder. Um, I just find that like so bizarre. Like, if you can't trust me, please, you need to get away from me. Like, that's really how I am. And I would also say, just like general laziness is so frustrating to me because if I do everything, and I am not one of those like girls who hates cooking and cleaning, like I love those. I don't want to call them duties because some people
yeah,
will get offended, but I think traditional ways that a lot of the time you see, you don't, I'm both a businesswoman and someone that could be like a wifey. So I do like those things. I love cleaning. I find it very relaxing. I love cooking because that's my way of like giving back to you for the things that you do for me. But at the same time, when I'm done,
yeah.
why I don't want to ask you to take out the trash. I don't want to ask you to help me. Like I want you to just want to do those things after. And I feel like if you don't, it's more lazy or like you take it for granted. You know what I'm saying?
I do. I do. Observations about you. I'm actually surprised you said you're quite cold.
Mm-hmm.
You don't come across cold.
Really?
But now you're explaining stuff. I see what you mean. I think you have a big heart, but I think someone has to earn any right to get anywhere near it. And I think this coldness is maybe your defense mechanism when it comes to intimacy. I'm talking about. I'm not talking about business because that's
I
what.
mean,
Because I felt like you had like there's real warmth and there's real love coming from you, like as a person. So that's when you
yeah.
said I'm cold. I was like, you don't come across that. So that means you have a heart there, but it's maybe it's not meeting the right person yet. Maybe not feeling comfortable enough yet with someone to let to feel comfortable enough to be that way, or maybe that's just not you. Who knows? But I got this feeling that you did have one, so that's why I was surprised when you said.
No, I do. And I think a lot of people, okay. So, great example is I was doing interviews this week because I got laid off from my job again because of coronavirus. And I was doing job interviews because I'm like, I don't want to keep doing this. I
Yeah,
need a very stable
there
job.
you go.
So I did some job interviews, and this guy immediately liked me and sent me a personality test. This is very big over here. It's like you do an interview and they send you a personality test.
Mm,
I guess to for them to know if you're really who you say you are, right? And I'm like all the time, I'm like, this test is going to tell you exactly what I'm saying. It's going to tell you that I get shit done and I'm a strong person and I might be a little cold. And of course, it does say exactly that. But one of the tests that I took in a previous job was super, super in detail. So it didn't have like general questions. It was really like detailed.
yeah.
And when I got the report back, it told me that I am both an introvert and an extrovert. And which I find they were like, we've never seen anyone come back with a test like this. Um, and I think it speaks more to the like when I was telling my friend Barry this, he was like, but you are a sweetheart. And you know how we all know that is because you never ask anyone for help because you don't want to inconvenience them. You just moved out of your one of I have an apartment in the city. Moved out of my apartment in the city completely by myself. And then I took care of my grandparents for a few hours. And like I I spend so much time with them, and that's just not that common here.
Mm.
People tend to forget their grandparents as they get older, and I've just never been that way. So there are certain things that, of course, people who know me think like, oh, you're a sweetheart. But even I've been in long-term relationships where it's been a great relationship. Like I can look back and not really have any complaints. That person was just not the person for me. And but even then, like there are some times where I'm a very like private person.
Yeah.
And there's sometimes where you might actually be able to understand this. Like if you are working all day and around a ton of people and talking constantly, when you come home, it's almost like sensory overload. And then you come home and you just want to be quiet and you need time to like wind down before you like get into a conversation with your significant other, or like be intimate with your significant other. It's like, please, I need like a force field, a shield
No,
around me.
I'm totally with you. I totally get that. It's downtime.
Yes.
You need the downtime from your work or whatever you've been doing for
Right.
amount of time. You need your space. You need your time out
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
for yourself. Just a bit of self-love there of, let me get my head together. Let me get the day off me. Shower's good for that. I'll take a shower, find to
I
myself,
think
listen to a
a
bit of
lot of
music.
people think like, oh, she must be mad at me, or oh, like, and it's like, no. Like, it's not that at all. It's not you. It's me. I need my space,
The classic line, yeah? We go into the
Yeah.
classic liners. It's not you, it's anything.
Yes.
It's a bit of both, though, isn't it?
You're right.
When you think about that line and the way it's used, it's not you, it's me. Well, it is you as well, because I don't want to be with you.
Right.
You're not right for me. And where I'm at in my life right now, it doesn't quite work. So it's a bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
You're not right for me. So there you go. Let's go to some questions.
Yes.
It's, again, you've taken this off somewhere else, and it's still within relationships, but there was a format, but it's all right. And that's the thing. It's fun, isn't it? Nice to talk about stuff. So being single in the US, what's that like? I did presume that. I didn't actually know when I put that question out to you.
No, you're totally fine.
Shouldn't ever presume.
But I should but regardless, it's a great answer, because it's not like whether I'm taken or single, like it doesn't really matter. That's really what it is. People don't care if you're in a relationship here, like, period. Like I would assume that other places maybe care a little bit. No cares here.
No, the UK, they don't care.
So it's aggressive. One thing that I do like is that I hear a lot of the time that we are more sexually open, but Americans don't think that we're sexually open. So like I would say that like kinks and fetishes are not accepted in the UK from what I hear. But
That's
here,
rubbish.
Really?
That's rubbish.
Oh my God, so many people over there tell me that. I kid you not, like somebody last week told me that.
But then those people don't have their eyes open then.
But I also want, okay. Yes, maybe.
It's rubbish.
So,
that's such rubbish. You have nightclubs that do those type of things. You have nightclubs where you can go to get laid, and there's openly sex parties and stuff like that. You go and you queue up and you wear nothing but underwear, and I can go with my wife, she sees that. We've never been to one of those places, just in case this comes up. You can go. I can go with my wife. I could go to this place. You know, we can meet you and your friends there who's involved, and that's fine. So this absolute nonsense. The thing about the UK, which always annoys me about the UK, and this is a typical British thing, is, oh, we don't do that. It's, you know, it's only someone else. You have your eyes open. There's all sorts of stuff going on. The US is just
Yeah.
open and they just tell you. The UK are like,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
can't say we do. We won't advertise that. So in certain circles, you know that exists, but we're not going to tell other nationalities or something. Yeah, you can go and get your swerve on or do whatever you want to do. You know,
That's incredible.
in one of these places. Of course it is. Come on, man. You know, I'm not that blind. Yeah, I've been in a relationship for that long, but I've got friends of mine who do that type of thing, and they go to these parties, and you know, yeah, just go along and you meet other couples, and you know, sleep with them, do whatever. You know,
Wow.
put a leash
Yeah, I
around
mean
their
that's
neck, walk them around, and do what? Be a
I
try and be your Brutus. You know, if it
yo, wait. So
so whatever. Was that?
In Atlanta here, which is Georgia, Atlanta,
Yeah.
that area, that is very common. Not to say that there's like necessary like specific nightclubs where you can't do any of that openly here, but there are definitely clubs that have the reputation as swingers clubs or like
Yeah.
open clubs. But nowhere else, I would say. Like mainly everyone I know that's a swinger, they all live in Atlanta.
I
Not
bet you
I
there's
would
others, but people don't talk about it. There's no
there's
way
so
the UK has some, and then there's places in America that certain states don't have. I don't buy that at all. I bet if you looked hard
I'm
enough, you'd find places.
I'm sure like the weird places that are like in the middle of nowhere
Yeah, of course,
have it. Like Las Vegas, like in the desert, like
of
somewhere.
course.
Like you hear crazy stuff happening over there, but in the cities, it would get shut down so fast
Yeah,
because word would spread way too
yeah.
fast. So nothing like crazy in Philly, but that's so funny. But yes, back to the question, we are very aggressive. So every time I talk to anyone from anywhere else, they're like, "Oh, Americans are so easy to get laid," and I'm like, they did that on purpose. You didn't work your charm, and they were all of a sudden like easy. Like we don't care. We're like very open, which to an extent I really like. Like there are so many things that are taboo still. Um, there's a lot of things, a lot of the times that we don't talk about our intimacy. Um, but people are doing it. They're just like not talking about it. But I think definitely more aggressive than maybe other places.
I found
With
it. I've got cousins, obviously from the States, New York, Manhattan, and when they come over and
mhm,
we go clubbing, well, this is years ago. I ain't can't come over for years, but yeah, when we used to go clubbing and I was single, their style was very aggressive.
mhm,
A lot of grabbing, a
mhm.
lot of pulling, you know,
Yeah, tucking.
talking in your ear, and you know, it's almost like intimidation.
Yeah, and so many
I'm
times.
gonna bully you into you parting with your number.
Yes,
You're gonna give
yes.
me your digits.
Hmm.
You know, like threatening behavior, like aggressive. Because they're all big,
Yes.
and they're like 6 foot, my cousins. So they all like, it looks very
Mhm.
intimidating. So you got these like 5'5" women that they going to chat up, and they're like looking up at these guys, and they're all like, "Give me your." You see what I mean? And it comes across very intimidating. Obviously, they don't mean that, but that's just their style. I found that as well. I found looking at it, it looked very aggressive because I should say about my style and my friend's style is a lot more. I shouldn't say everyone because I my older brother can seem it's not, but it could come across as not aggressive. I'd say it's more of a persistent style, the way he
Mhm.
talked to a woman. it would be, saying the comments and, it'd be persistent. So if she was talking to someone else, you'd try and make a comment or something and passing by, and it's just the persistence of knowing that, yeah, look, I'm interested. Just to let you know again, and I'm gonna let you know another couple of times, and a couple of times more, until you just say, you know what? Okay, let me just talk to him because he's not gonna leave me alone. Okay, so what's up? You see what I mean? So it's like that. So yeah, but me and my friends were a lot more subtle. We were like, a bit more standoffish, and I'll tell you what, straight to the point stuff. And I was going to ask you that question about chat up lines and the worst you've heard.
The worst I've heard. Oh my gosh. I don't know. There's so many. I mean, they're all cheesy. It doesn't even matter what it is. They're all cheesy. If if you say no or say you have a boyfriend, they have a comeback. Good for all of those. So it's like, why can't we just be friends? I hate that. I have enough friends.
Sorry,
I
it's
never
not
want to be
funny.
your
It's
friend.
not funny. Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing because it's serious. Because someone is looking for a part. I shouldn't be laughing at this. Trying to say like it's just a joke. It's not a joke, but I just know the mindset. Coming from a male perspective, that's why I'm laughing. I think it's funny because the whole mindset of that is, you know what, we're gonna be friends. She's gonna give me up the digits, and you know what, I'm gonna find my way. I'm gonna get what I want eventually. So whether we're friends now, trust me, we're gonna be intimate at some other stage. So
Right.
I
And it's
get the
like, no.
mindset.
And then I get a lot of, oh, like when I was younger, I used to, get people, because catcalling here, I don't know how it is over there. Catcalling here is like crazy. So you walk down the street and someone will be like, hey, sexy, hey, whatever, like, or whistle at you or say, like, yo, come over here.
Yeah, it happens here as well.
Um, it's, which is just so annoying. I don't understand how. Has that ever worked for anyone? Like, I really don't know. I really can't imagine that it has.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's worked.
Mm.
Despicable. Anyway.
But that's where it comes
So,
from. If there was no success, would anyone try it? Think about that.
oh my God.
It's come from some.
Terrible.
Now, the success rate may be like 2-3%
Hmm.
of the 100 times you've tried it, but there's been success. And as men, we hold on to that. We won't let that go. That
Right.
maybe once in a blue moon, that happened maybe back in the 90s or something, whatever. I got away
Hmm.
with that once, maybe. And they're going to keep it. Just not my style, but I mean, I know guys that do it and I've seen it work.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I've been surprised myself that the woman stopped. I've been like, what?
Yeah. So I remember I used to be like, oh, when I realize how ignorant it might sound now, but also I'm very open. Um, but when I would walk with my girlfriends when I was younger, and of course I was underage too. So like all of these men were like grown men. And I would be like, oh no, like she's my partner, like, or we're together or whatever. And they would be like, great, like I'll have the both of you. And I'm like, like terrible. And I just get a lot of like when I'm out, can I buy you a drink? The corny stuff mainly happens if you're like trying to online date, which I have never had the real chance of doing. I go out too often and I'm also like not shy and I will approach you if I like you. So like
I
online
like that.
dating just doesn't
I like,
work for someone like me.
I like that.
Um,
I like that in a woman when some
mhm.
women are like, no, I'm not going to do any approaching. He has to come and show me his interest. I'm like, come on. What
Oh my
year are you
God.
living in? You can't approach a
If
guy and just say, look, can I buy you a drink or something? Or not even that, whatever you would say is your
if
icebreaker.
if I had to wait on a guy, I don't think I would even have any experiences at this point. Like
Guys with
legitimately
no game.
no game. No game. And I'm like,
Isn't
okay,
that a
fine. Like,
sign anyway? Sorry, Ari, that it's probably not going to work out.
true. That is a sign.
Because that's
But
lack of
I'm like,
confidence, isn't it? Let's
oh
go
my
down to
God.
the basics. If a guy
Oh my
can't
God.
approach a woman he likes, that's a lack of confidence. Don't get me wrong, it's not easy because I've been there. I've been there as a young guy out. Sorry, when I was a young guy out, um, and partying and trying to meet women and stuff like that. And I get it. I get it's difficult because if you're really into someone, you don't want to mess it up. So you're
Hmm.
overthinking everything.
Hmm.
And you want to say the right thing. He's seen you in a club or whatever, and he's like, you know what, I don't want to mess it. I'm into her. I like her. Now I don't want to mess it up and let her know how nervous I am, because I'm gonna look like I'm not gonna look like a fool, an idiot. So how can I look confident and come across like this suave, charming guy? And see, we're overthinking, and that's where all of that comes to why these guys want to approach,
Yeah.
because we're overthinking the whole process rather than just asking you something like, can I buy you a drink? Hi, or just
Exactly.
introducing yourself or whatever it is, to just break the
I'm
ice and
like,
being coming across like you're normal and you just want to talk.
I used to go into like a shop when I was younger, and the person at the front would look at me every day, talk to me every day, watch me as I leave every day. I went in, I was like, are you going to ask me out, or are we just going to do this all the time? Because, I'm spending a lot of money in this shop to come see you, and you still haven't asked me out
Wow.
yet.
So it was just to see him.
It's like, of course, there are some times where you actually like need things, but like, but, but not all the time.
You
And
got
then he
like
would be like,
20 cartons of milk in your fridge.
and then it's like, he's like, oh my God, yes, of course. Like, I just didn't know how to do it. I thought it was unprofessional to ask, someone coming in the shop. I'm like, I get it, but we're past the point. I'm not going to report you to your boss. Like, um,
I get that
but
though, because I've been there. I worked in shops. I was a retail manager and stuff, and I've had that before with a customer, and you're like, that's quite unprofessional. But then I had this woman I met from Mexico one time, and she was with her sister. And it's when I worked for this company, and I was selling them headphones at the time. And she was with her sister and stuff. And I remember, and I could feel a vibe. And I was just like, you know what? It's a bit dodgy, because I got a staff member here that I'm training who's right next to me while I'm kind of showing them how to sell them
mm,
headphones. And I like her. She's quite attractive. So I kind of went with the flow. We could have got chatting, and she was saying, I'm a DJ in Mexico, blah, blah, blah. Thought that was quite cool. I
mm,
goes, yeah, that's cool. Don't meet many female DJs. So, and she was after these headphones. They were like the most expensive. And then I was nice, and I used my staff discount so she could get two for like one half price and one full price. With my discount, it ended up being like that. So, and then the service, thank you very much, and you're very nice, blah, blah, blah. Thank you for the service and all that. And then as she was leaving, she was like, look, here's my number. It's my email. And I was like, I respect this woman, because the way she done it was so classy, because she didn't even make it look like there was like real interest. She was just like, yeah, he's all right guy, and we're kind of vibing. And she was like, look, contact me the next time.
yes,
And I'll be glad to show you around Mexico the next time you're. I was like, wow. So
the
that was very nice, because I didn't really approach or nothing. I was just doing my job and
mhm.
showing this new
And you
starter
like
of mine
felt,
the ropes.
the only time I've ever not liked it is like I've had bank tellers go into my bank account, look up my information, look up my number, and then call or text me to
What?
ask me out on a date. Yes, like that, which is illegal.
Invasion of
Um,
privacy.
right. The only time, like, that's the only time I would say, like, it's really unprofessional to do that because it's legitimately illegal, But in a
Must have
shop,
really been interested.
I've had it happen to me multiple times, like more than one time,
Really?
more than one bank. I switched banks after the first time because the guy was so aggressive. He called me like more than once after I told him to like fuck off. And then I switched banks and it happened at this bank that I'm currently at as well. Um, and I these people really should be fired, but I'm like,
They
what if
should.
they have
Oh, for sure.
families? I'm like,
See, that's your heart coming now. See the cold Harry. Where's that cold Harry gone? See, that's that other side. I said,
yeah.
yeah, that's the heart because
Um,
you're thinking about the whole thing. Now, if it was cold, you wouldn't. You'd just be like, he should be fired. Let me report him. See you later.
yeah. But what was it on this other podcast that I listen to all the time, which I talked about on my Instagram,
I've still not checked it
but
out. I need to do that.
so good. But they said, so one of the girls was like, when I go out and I occasionally like find someone that I like, I will write my number on a napkin
Old
and
school.
then, right, and then give it to whoever and say, here's my number, do with it what you want. I'm gonna leave. Like, and they just like leave and go to a different bar hop, whatever. And I'm like, that is 100% something that I would do because it's like discreet, no one knows. Like, if they are there with other people that they might like somebody else already, it doesn't like disrupt them from that person or that conversation. It's just like, okay, here I am, you've seen me now, and I'm gonna
I like that.
go away.
Just honest and straight up.
Hmm.
No games.
Right. And I'm not about games.
Let's just be straight up. Do you want to see me or not? Do you? I
And
don't get the other stuff. Or I don't. You either like me or you don't. I don't
I'm
get.
like, if we're in college and if you have the time to play games and you want to do that stuff because you think it's fun, I get it. But there's comes a time where those things get old. And I feel like by your mid 20s, they should be old. You know, you shouldn't be playing games. And I think that guys, especially because the age to get married and the age to have kids is going sky high in the United States, that
Same here.
people are, oh, really? So people are maturing, I feel like at a slower rate. Because at 30, everyone's still partying, getting drunk,
I
single,
was.
whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, that's to an extent, that's okay. I have a friend who's married, they don't have kids yet, and she still goes out all the time. I'm like, yes, you should be doing those things because when you can't have kids, or when you do have kids, you can't do those
That's
things
it. It's
anymore.
over.
Right. So I'm like, that's fine. But at the same time, like, she's not playing games, she's married. And there are
What's she
still
doing when
so
she goes
many.
out? Is she behaving herself?
Hmm.
Okay. Oh, you go out with her.
Oh,
Yeah? You watch her.
oh, yeah, no,
You're looking
I
over her
do. But
shoulder.
I
Yeah.
mean, but she's like very good. And I think, the majority, it's like weird because I feel like I would see more cheating than I do, but I almost see none. All my friends and relationships are very, very loyal.
Are you looking close
Um,
enough?
yes, I feel like they
Going through
would
their
tell me
trash
because
cans and everything. Yeah.
I feel like I'm like the secret keeper. I feel like
That's
they
good.
tell me, a lot of
Basically.
things that they might not tell others. Um, but what was I saying? Oh, like some of my other friends who are still single, or I have one friend who her boyfriend broke up with her last year and she's still not over it. And the games that they play back and forth are ridiculous. The games that like my my friends get played, they're like they still get ghosted. I feel like at 25, if you don't like something about somebody, just tell. And she's not even 25, they're older than me. All my friends are older than me. So at that age, I'm like, why can't we communicate what we don't like and call it a day?
You know what it is. Let me give you a guy's perspective, and I'm not saying every guy's like this, But thinking about when back in the day when I was your age and stuff, and out in that world of being single and free in London, that whole thing, the whole games thing, it's when you're weighing up your options. You got maybe 5 women you're seeing, and it's almost like the process of elimination.
So true.
You're going through and finding out she's all right. We went out that one time. Let me go and check out this other woman that I'm seeing. She's all right as well. So there's a bit of her I like, a bit of her I like. And, you know, it's just, you know, it's all about power, isn't it? The game's about power. It's about, let me speak to her enough that keeps her interest there. So if things don't work out with so-and-so, I've got her on hold. And it sounds horrible, but this is where it comes from. It's uncertainty. There wouldn't be any games if you were certain about someone. Think about that.
I never thought about that.
That's a guy's perspective I'm giving you here. I'm giving you an honest perspective. The games come into play because of uncertainty. I'm not sure about her, so why would I fully commit to something?
Yeah, well, that's what I say. I say, like, if someone's not willing to commit, like, if you're playing games at all, why do you even waste your time? But I didn't even think about, like, having a process of elimination. I'm like, that makes sense to me, you know, because why else would they be uncertain? Like, wow, that is crazy.
And that's a man's perspective, you know, and an honest one. Yeah, because I remember having that mindset and going back, but why this is good, because it kind of gets you back to like, oh yeah, I remember when I wasn't quite mature enough and I couldn't decide. And I used to play games with these women and be like, what's up with you? 1 minute you're hot, 1 minute you're cold. 1 minute, you know, you want to take me out. The next minute I don't hear, you ghost me for a few weeks, not days, a few weeks. You don't hear from me. What's going on here? You know,
2 weeks.
And I'm just, you're in a position of power. And it sounds horrible because these are people, obviously, but you're too immature to think like that. Your mindset's just, remember, it's all selfish. It's all about you. It's all about ego. And, you know, you're thinking you're so cool because you can talk to your friends and say, yeah, you know what? You know, I got so-and-so, I'm seeing so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. Like, Mike, wow. You know, you feel like you're king.
Yeah.
You know, and it's quite sad because you're using people, yeah? So it's not the greatest thing, but I'm just being honest and saying from a man's perspective that that's where the games come into it.
Yeah, and that makes sense. I'm just not about that way.
But then you have the other side. You have the thing where a guy's not playing games and he's pretending. He can't be truthful. He can't be honest. See, when I matured and I got to that point of honesty, and I said to these women, this ain't serious. Yeah, so I'm going to let you know this. You're not going to be my one and only. We can see each other, booty call or whatever it is. Yeah, I don't want commitment. It's not what I'm looking for. So I'm just going to let you know that. So that's when I matured. So you can have those honest conversations with someone. So they might be like, yeah, well, you know, F off. I wanted more. So see you later, Mike. Or, yeah, that's cool. I don't really see you as a long-term boyfriend anyway. So the honesty. So that's when that comes in. But then you have these idiots out there that will pretend that he's your bona fide, he's your one and only. Yeah, so he's playing the perfect boyfriend. You know, he's being super cheesy, but yet he's got, you know, Shaniqua or someone that he sees on the days he doesn't see you. You know, and so you got, you know, this is bigger. This isn't so straightforward. You got the guys who are playing the game as the ultimate boyfriend, the ultimate partner, and he's too busy sleeping with someone else when he doesn't see you. Oh, sorry, honey, I can't make that day. Oh, no, I've got this, you know, I'm traveling with work. You know, I'll see you in a couple of days, blah, blah, blah. And he's, you know, he's knocking off someone in some hotel somewhere. He's having the best of both worlds. He's having his cake and eat it.
I just think, I always say actions speak louder than words. And also, this brings me back to like when I was younger, and guys would say like "I love you" to try and get me to sleep with them, and I'm like, "You love? It's been 2 weeks. You don't love me. Like, what is wrong with people?" But no, I
Selfishness.
totally,
It's,
yeah.
they just want one thing. They're not seeing you. They see, it's another notch on their belt. Yeah,
Hmm.
you're not more than that to them. But again, as I
Hmm.
say, it's immaturity for women watching this and saying, "Well, what's all that about?" And that's a bit treating people like that. It's just immaturity. Yeah,
Hmm.
but it takes us a little long, and I believe in that. I didn't
Hmm.
start maturing until I was in my 30s. Really thinking about who I was dating and the process and all that. I was just going through the motions. It was just like all a bit of fun and experience and all of that thing. I mean, you wasn't really taking stock of your moments and your experiences. You were too busy just enjoying. It was like one big party, a
Hmm.
never-ending party from my late teens until my early 30s. It was just never-ending party that every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday I was out partying somewhere,
Yeah.
in some location in London. I made the most of that. That was like, they were great times. And I almost think, and I'm not saying about sleeping around nonstop. I'm saying about just experiences, going out, meeting people, and you know, and partying a lot, and barbecues, and just a vibe. It was great. London, I'll never forget like that time. It was amazing because I almost think you need to go through that to appreciate who you
Some,
are
yeah.
as a person.
I I
And
agree.
when you're ready to settle down and you come to a place of, I got all this nonsense partying and mindless stuff out of the way. Now I can kind of grow up. I've matured and I'm ready to settle down.
I
Of
think some people really elongate the process though.
course.
There are some people who could mature earlier and just choose not to. Because why would they if no one's pushing them to do that?
I get it. I get it totally. Listen, that lifestyle. Listen, that was lit. That was just off the hook. All that stuff because it's carefree, isn't it? It's no real uh feeling of responsibility when you start paying mortgages and all that comes in, then your mindset's totally different. But at that time, I was living at home. I was coming and going as I pleased,
Hmm.
giving my mum a little rent. I was never ever there.
Hmm.
so so I get why and I'll tell you what, it gets to a point where you're so deep into that lifestyle and that world that it's very difficult to come out of. And
Hmm.
another thing, I'm not trying to make excuses for them, but you get, because you get stuck in a mindset and a way of being, yeah, as a way of functioning. That's your
Hmm.
everyday part of you. You surround yourself with the same type of people, and a part of it's fear as well. It's coming out of that. It's been afraid of, I can leave this, which I'm comfortable in. That's my comfort zone at the moment, to going and settling down with one woman. So that's the reality of that scenario. Obviously, you want to be in love with that person and to do something like that. But I'm just saying that's where
Yeah, it all
until
comes.
you get that in your head and it's a process and you accept it, is they're not wanting to move on. And I know so many guys. That's why I'm smiling. I know so many guys in that mindset in their late 50s, mid 50s, 60s.
Ugh.
They're still playing around and trying to pick up ladies your age. So
If they have money, they probably have some success. I'll
they
tell
have
you that.
money. Exactly. That's why it works. They could promise this young woman this. I live in this house. I can take you here. I can take you there. The best
Hmm.
restaurants,
100%.
So there is some success there, but
Hmm.
it's a bit sad. That's all.
Hmm.
I find it very sad. Trying to
Yeah,
date
no.
girls, trying to date young women that could be your daughter. Yeah,
Well,
it's a bit
I
sick.
always think
I
like
think.
these guys are really going to have nothing and no one to take
Mm, of
care of them when they're older.
course.
And that's all I think about, like how sad that is. Like it's fine. It's all fun and games while you can still walk. But who's gonna be around to push you in your wheelchair, give you your heart medicine? I don't know.
That young woman's gonna put you in a home, so she doesn't have to go home,
Right.
and she's just gonna
Right.
live a life and marry again probably.
Exactly.
That's how it's gonna end. But they don't see the long game. It's just a short game, isn't it? It's just, oh, for now, they're living for now, not, oh yeah, let me think. Actually, is this, how old am I gonna be if I have a child with this woman? Granddad, great
Yeah.
granddad.
Even my neighbors, I I was like, oh my God, his granddaughter is so cute. Like he's always with his granddaughter. And then I found out that's his daughter. He's a full head of gray hair. He's like, I'm not pushing 60s, and he has a baby. And I'm like, I don't discriminate. You can do whatever the hell
Mm.
you want, but you're going to be 90 when she's in college, like getting her master's degree. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing?
You might not be around when she's in college. Life
It's just
expectancy.
seriously, though,
How many
it's really
people live to
crazy to even
90?
think about.
A lot more
Yeah.
now, though. I will say that. Generally, people are living for longer now. A question
Hmm.
I want to ask you from a woman's perspective is, why do women within a relationship feel they can change a man? I'm not saying every woman that tries to do that. I'm just saying I have been in
But
relationships,
a lot of people, a lot of women do this.
but don't ever want
Um,
to generalize.
well, I also think it's it's two-sided. One, I think that a lot of people act a certain way in the beginning of a relationship
Mm.
and then let it go. So let's say a woman, or yeah, like a woman's in a relationship for 2 years, and the first 6, 8 months, 9 months, it was great. The guy did everything, it was perfect. And then the next year and some months, he really lets it go. And that woman now starts to only think about when the times were perfect, and she tries to make it like that instead of accepting the situation or accepting that maybe they're not is meant to be.
That's the
And
word.
then
Accept.
mhm, you have to accept your partner as they change. Like, I'm sure, as you know, you've been with the same woman for some time. You might lose a job, you might, you
Mm.
know, do all these different things. You have to accept them and at every stage. And then on the other end, it's like so many of these girls love the bad boy that's only good for them. That doesn't happen. He's either good all the time or bad all the time. And again, it's back to acceptance. They don't want to accept
I
that.
think you said a key thing there, though. There's a word you mentioned. You said girls are not women.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Because
very
women
important.
won't deal with
Exactly.
any of this shit.
A
You're
girl
gone.
who's not mature enough thinks that's a cool thing. Oh, he's a bad boy. Look at him. You know, it's sexy, isn't it? It's that whole sexy thing. He's
Even
bad.
like
He's sexy. The rock and roll lifestyle. Yeah.
even my mother, who my father and her had a long relationship before
Yeah.
they separated, and they were great, but after, I don't know, like the guy that she's with right now has a very like bad boy vibe, I guess.
Really?
But it's like they're in their 50s. Like what are you doing going for a man like that? You know what I mean? Like I get it. She doesn't have to be serious because she's already had her kids.
That's
She's
it.
already had marriage. But it's almost like you're like going backwards because you have matured to the fullest. And now it's like, oh, let's fuck around. But in reality, you're just going to get hurt because people, when they get older, they want someone who's going to help take care of them and vice versa. So it's like now you're stuck in this, oh, this bad boy like playing games, but you actually have feelings. And I think a lot of like younger girls go through the same thing, you know? I don't know. That's like ridiculous. But I've had guys try and change me too.
How did that go?
Please, my ex-boyfriend, he would try and tell me,
Give me a bit of background
I,
to this ex-boyfriend. I'm just curious. Go on, give me a bit of background. What's he like? Type of dude? Where's he from? You know,
he,
let's have a bit
he's
of
from
background. Paint a picture.
he's he's from South Philly,
Yeah.
and we met at a party, and I never met him before, which is very strange because I'm a twin, and between me and my twin, we know the whole city. So for us to find someone that we don't know was like strange. So we met at this party, um, and we hit it off pretty quickly, and we started dating. Soon, I would say like maybe 6 to 8 months into our relationship, he went off with the Navy.
Oh
He
wow. Okay.
mhm.
Lives in the Navy.
and and that was fine. I am a very loyal person.
Yeah.
So him going away had didn't affect me at all. I wasn't looking at anyone else. I went to a very wealthy college,
Mm.
and the men were all white and all wealthy. And that did not attract me. Like I don't care about your skin color, but it's like the like douchebag. Like I'm gonna leave and I'm gonna work for my parents and I'm gonna make $1 million.
Mm.
That doesn't attract me at all. I need someone who's like working their way,
Were you
you know.
attractive to them as a woman of color?
Only as like a conquest.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And watch on
um,
their belt, yeah?
yes,
Yeah. I
yes,
can well imagine that. Yeah,
they would
not
never date
seriously.
me.
Yeah, but like, you know what? It's kind of like some forbidden fruit, yeah.
Hmm. Like, oh, I always wanted to be with a Spanish woman or
Something
uh,
exotic.
a mixed,
Like, you know what? Won't bring her home to mom, but I'll take her to a hotel though.
right. So, um, yeah, so I dated my ex for years, and then there came a point in our relationship where it was like a switch. Like, I'm not even joking. It was like an overnight thing, I felt like. And all his confidence was gone because I didn't know at the time, but all of a sudden he wanted to know where I was all the time. He wanted me to
Mm,
send him pictures of what I was wearing. He didn't want me to go out. He wanted me to call him when I left, when I came home, and we would have to fall asleep on the phone together. So like no one was in my room, like all of these strange things. And we would fight. And then I would eventually say, "Ugh, I'm like too upset to go out now." And I wouldn't go out. And that was the point. He didn't want me to go out.
yeah.
And
Controlling,
so,
overprotective.
yes. And then he would start to buy me a lot of gifts as
Which
like
you like.
right. But then he would treat me like shit. So I'm like, I don't want
Interesting.
any gifts.
Okay.
Because I'd rather you just trust me
Yeah.
and not like be mean all the time. So we broke up, and we've actually talked quite a bit since.
Yeah.
And now he's actually like blocked on my phone again because
Oh, shame.
he's just, it's like when he comes back here, he's normal. Because in the Navy, he was in San Diego, California, like, and then he would come back here, and then he went to Japan. When he was in Japan is when he was like the worst, like the most abusive. But as soon as he would come back here, he was like more normal. So now he's in California full time and he is a lot happier. So we can have conversations, but there would be certain things that would really set him off to be like super in attack mode for no reason. Um, and I remember like one time I posted about this like a few months ago, but I asked all my followers what are their favorite marathons to run because I wanted to get into marathon running. And he was like, "You're so stupid. Marathons are such a scam. Yeah, like join a running club if you want to run." And I'm like, I didn't ask for all of this. I asked for a marathon. So I just blocked him and that was that. But he's tried to change me. There have been people who try and change me too, even though we have an amazing relationship,
Yeah.
people who try and change me to be more intimate or more cuddly, or they want to hold my hand all the time. Not like that either. So it's like, I think it goes both ways, but people really just have to accept where people are not changing. You get what you get and you have to accept it or cut it off.
I so agree. That's what you signed up for. So then why change? Why be with
Right.
this person anyway if this person wasn't right for you?
Right.
That you feel you need to change them into something that you really like.
Mm-hmm.
Never got that. What was a good one? There was something about this is something that got you worked up on IG. How long should we wait before we respond to a text?
Oh my God. As soon as possible. As soon as they send the text, the response is already typed out. No, but seriously, when you see the text, you respond. I don't understand the waiting period, whether it be 20 minutes, 2 hours, 8 hours. What were you doing for 8 hours? Like, come on now.
Back in the day,
And
it was 4 to 5 days. After this is after. So let me put this into perspective, the whole thing, and into context, make sense of what I'm trying to say. So you've met someone in a club or wherever, they've given you their number, and that's how long it used to be before you actually contact that person who's given you their number. So it'd be 4 to 5 days.
it used to
I'm
be
talking
3 days
years ago.
here.
I'm talking years ago.
When I was younger, if people would do like the 3-day time span. But now that no one calls and we all just text, I don't understand. Like, if you get somebody's number tonight at the club, then I would expect to text tomorrow saying, "Hey, I had so much fun meeting you at the club. We had a great time. I would love to take you out tomorrow." Like, that's like the next day, the following day. And at that time, whenever I saw that text message, I would respond. I don't think that it goes along with playing games. Like, you're either mature or you're not. You're going to answer that text or you're not. And people are like, "Oh, I don't know if he likes me. I don't know what." If that guy is taking the time to open your Snapchats, answer your text, I don't even know why Snapchat is a thing at my age. But because people really take it seriously. If like for me, I'm like, all right, I snapped a picture of my dog. Great. But he opened my Snapchat and didn't respond. I want to smack people when I hear that. Yeah, well, he opened a photo and he had nothing to say. How about that? Like, what if the photo was my dog and he thought my dog was the ugliest thing in the world? Would I expect him to answer? No. So I'm just like, if you like someone, they will know. And if they like you, you will know. And there's no games to be played. just answer the fucking text and be real so that you can either get it over with or grow into something great.
I'm going to give you a little bit of perspective behind it all, from a man's point of view. That whole, I think you're right. It was the 3 days, respond on the 4th. That's where it was. So this is the mindset, yeah? So the thinking behind it, it's not logical, of course, but it's just the whole games thing. And again, insecurity, you're not 100% sure about yourself. You know, a lot of this comes from being very young and immature. So you're basically, this woman's given you a number, for instance. You chatted her up. She said, yeah, cool, contact me. Next day, you're like, right, do I want to seem too desperate? If I contact her now, I'm going to seem too desperate. Like, you know, I'm too much into her. She's not going to find that cool if I do that. Okay, let me leave it another day. Cool. Second day. Am I still coming across too desperate to her? I want her thinking about me now and thinking, oh yeah, when's he gonna text me? And you know, waiting by that phone, checking up on her phone. So I'm growing even more interest. Yeah, so that's the mindset. Obviously, that's not the case sometimes because you might not even get a response when you finally get through to her because she's just thinking you're an idiot. But so the third day, cool. I can do it later on in the evening, maybe. That probably counts as the 4th. Or maybe I'll do the first thing on the 4th day. So now she's interested. She's wondering whether I'm flittering from not interested to maybe I've just been busy and I've not had time to get around to texting her or what have you. So the 4th day, I text her first thing in the morning, this hour. Oh, just wondering how you are. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, it was nice seeing you the other night. Just wondering if we can hook up sometime and go for something to eat or something, or go for some drinks. Just gave you a little bit of mindset there behind it all. She's even like, you're an idiot. Why didn't you contact me earlier? Or, yes. You know what? I think it's pretty cool.
My sister tells me all the time that I have to be more accepting of the way other people do things. But I'm always just like, I don't care what someone thinks. So if they were to say like, oh, she's coming off as desperate, okay, then we're just not going to work out. Like, I don't say like, F you. I don't say like, whatever. I'm just like, okay, if that's the way you feel, then I don't know if we can work out. So I've never really thought like that. In high school, it was so hard because so many people played that game with me that I had to be like, oh, well, what do I do now? Because I don't know how to play a game. I only know how to be real with you. So it was so much harder for me.
But yeah, that's some of the thinking behind it. Yeah, this is some interesting questions. Is sleeping with someone on a first date cool?
No. I don't care. I don't think it really matters. I have to be honest. I have found some people who have done that and are now married and have been married for 10 years. You know, it's not like it can't work. I think you have to read the situation, read the room, and be able to say like, you know, does he just want me for my body, or did we really freaking hit it off? And like, let's go and do this so I can know if this is like worth my time and effort. Because we're sexually compatible, right? But I think most of the time that doesn't work out. I think that people are like, oh, you gave it up too quickly, which I just think is a crock of shit. It's like, don't go after me if you're going to judge me for it.
I want it, but I don't want it that soon.
Yeah.
Could we at least wait a few weeks and that'll be okay? Yeah. But because you did it on the first date, I have no respect for you at all. I still went along with it, by the way.
And then it's like, oh, we'll wait a few weeks, but don't worry, I'll be thinking of you in the shower. Like, fuck off. Like, that's so annoying. So, oh, that is so annoying. But yes, I really don't think that sleeping together on the first date ever really works in the long term. Um, because of the guys are just there are a lot of guys that are just gonna be disrespectful about it. And then like you already gave it up, so I'm gonna now ghost you. And that's like the worst
Yeah,
feeling.
you get it's
Feeling
it's
feeling
interesting
used.
because there's that, isn't there? There's that you've given it up. I've got what I wanted. See you later, or someone's put off by it because I used to be. So I never went
Mm,
along with it. I wouldn't go with the flow and say, "Oh yeah, that's what you want," because I'd be like, "Hmm, how many times? If that's kind of like your default setting, I don't think I'm that special.
mhm.
That it's only because of me that you're behaving like this. How many times have you done that with other guys you've been dating and been out with dates for?" So yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. It's a bit of the moral high ground of, oh yeah, she can't be the type of woman I want to even hang with because she's doing that on a first date. Then I don't have much respect for her type thing.
Mhm.
So I remember that I used to think that back in the day and stuff. I didn't even when I was playing games, I was put off by that type of thing. I was like, really,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. A lot of people say that.
Another interesting question. Because there's all these because this is mindsets and things I've come across over time. And how long should you wait before you become sexual with someone?
I think it's like a feeling out process, but for me, I typically wait around 2 months. And
That
that's
sounds
just
long.
because
Joking, I'm joking.
no, but it is.
I'm
But
joking.
I've had this conversation with one of my friends, and she was like, and she brought it up. It was nothing sexual. She was like, I typically date somebody for 2 months. And after 2 months, I do a reevaluation. Are we going to do another 2 months or are we going to stop it here? And she was like, it takes that long to know if you can deal with the bullshit because something has come up in that time. And she's like, so we're either going to cut it off then or whatever. And so that is why I've typically always waited 2 months.
Cool.
And
Yeah, go on.
no, you're okay.
I was just gonna say, I think it depends on the person, though. I'm not trying to say there's this written rule, one of the 10 Commandments or something that everyone should abide by if they're religious. Just do what you want, man. And that's what I mean about all of this. Yeah, it's a bit tongue in cheek because I'm not like, oh yeah, these questions. This is how we should live our life. Listen,
Yeah, no.
I'm all for everyone living the life they want to live. I'm not going to tell anyone how to do. I'm just trying to give. We're both just giving perspectives, different perspectives,
Yeah.
and showing how things are out there sometimes and what people think sometimes. So yeah, I'm.
I would
So it's a bit tongue in cheek. I'm not taking it dead serious. Yeah, 2 months. That's about
I
it.
would
That's how you
say,
judge a serious
yeah,
relationship.
no.
And that's
No. But I am like I would say almost none of my friends wait anytime. Like, it's within the few first dates.
oh,
And yeah,
sure
and it's
thing.
worked out for them, and that's fine. I think for me, I just like I really value like my like respecting my body, and not to say that that's disrespect, because if you're having a great time and they're having a great time, that's amazing.
Your body's
But I
dependable.
just
Yeah.
think, yeah, and I also, it's like weird because as you get older, you think about things that you didn't before. So somebody's sexual hygiene,
Mm.
or or like sometimes, this sounds like weird, but sometimes your fluid like isn't compatible. So like you can get not even STDs. I'm just talking like regular things like a UTI, a yeast infection. That's not because that person's necessarily dirty, but that's because their body is not compatible with yours. So it's like, I just try especially as I said, like as I've gotten older, I've
Yeah.
definitely like limited that because there are people who I even talk to and they're like, oh, this is not a popular opinion, but I never use condoms. I'm like,
Oh,
that's that's crazy, especially in America where STDs are rampant. So I'm just like, I'm not, I'm not one to do that in the first few dates because I can't even tell until I see your place, how you live, how you eat, your diet. Like it's not going to work for me.
you know what? I'm with you though, because at the end of the day, I believe this: intimacy is never really enjoyable until you really know someone. Yeah, until you find where you're compatible or things you really like about someone. You can't get that from the first dates. 2 months, yeah, it's about right because you're getting to know that person, like you said, the way they eat, their values, because the first few dates and stuff could be like a game where they're just pretending to be this person that saying the right things, ticking all the boxes for you, behave in a particular way. Now you need
Hmm.
a bit of that normalcy to set in, and that reality to set in about who they really are and the true
Hmm.
colors, because you'll start seeing that the longer you're around people, the true colors start showing, and you start seeing what they're really like and the person they are. So I think that's a better way of going. Let's get to know each other before we're exchanging fluids to be horrible.
Hmm.
Yeah. So let's see, one more. Does sending nude pics work?
I mean, I wouldn't say to do it to someone brand new, but I think it's like just almost like a way of our society now. Like it's just like so normalized that it like doesn't even matter.
Does it work though?
I Yeah, to an extent it does. It definitely works for some people. Again, not my thing and not because I'm a prude. Like I just think that um I worry about like professional things. So that's like the only reason why I don't do it. I think, I
Oh, so you
have done
would
it.
if you was with someone and
Oh, if I was already with someone and trusted them, 100%. I don't care. But I think in the dating process,
mm,
I would say most people do it and it doesn't really bite them in the ass. It's like fine. But and it works both ways. Like the girl likes it because they're getting attention, the guy likes it because he's getting what he wants. But it's like, and it doesn't hurt them long term.
mm,
Like most guys don't lose disrespect after they get one. Um, but it's just like also as you get older and it gets easier to just see the people that you want, I think those
exactly.
things happen less and less. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Snapchatting, it's not necessary, is it?
No, exactly.
Ari, thank you very much. That was relationship.
Thank you. Yes,
We didn't cover every part. We'll probably do another episode of this, but you answered some questions and had fun. And thank you very much for your time. Yeah.
yes. This was so much fun. Thank you.
See you soon, Ari. See ya.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.